Hello and welcome to the Sunday Shale Show. My name is Mike Chadsey and today I'm joined by Wiley Runnerstrand from the Shale Valley. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today. Talk to me a little bit about you and your background in Shale Valley.
Well, I'm from Northeast Ohio, Trumbull County specifically.
Okay.
And we've had a lot of play with Shale recently. So I work in politics locally, and I hooked up with a couple of my friends to start a company called Shale Valley.
Okay.
And a lot of what we were realizing is the landowners had gotten a large sum of money and had given up their mineral rights, and there were a lot of questions in the larger community and also with the landowners about what is actually going on and where'd all this money go. And honestly, a lot of people didn't realize how much money was actually going to be in our region, or what a windfall shale was going to be for Ohio in general.
Okay.
So we decided to start Shale Valley, which is a magazine that's targeted just to the landowners in Northeast Ohio. Right now we're covering Trumbull and Mahoney counties and a little bit of Columbiana. And basically all we try and do is bring as much information about the industry to the landowners and give them as much insider information so they know what's going on, what their options are, and try and reconnect them with the community and help them to know that they can be a real game changer and a part of the economic comeback here. So we know that they all just got a huge windfall for themselves, and they could go to another place in the country. They could go live down in Florida, or they could reinvest here and be a part of a real comeback for this area. And so we really want to make them conscious of that decision and that they're a huge part of that.
Okay, that's good. So the idea between the magazine, is it a weekly, monthly, quarterly?
We go monthly.
Okay.
So we're every month we come out and there's about 6 or 7 stories. It's about a 20-page magazine, and it's written so every person can understand what's going on in the industry, and we really try and bring all of the insider information that we can down to a level that everyone
So
can
it's not too
grab it.
technical.
Yeah.
Got it.
So,
So
as many facts as possible without it sounding too tacky.
Too much, sure. Absolutely. So what are some of the key things, as you engage landowners, and I think that's the key part here, is we hear so much about the business community, the labor community,
Right.
industry itself. The one piece that often doesn't get talked about is the landowners, engaging them. As you know, they've got more to gain or lose from this than anybody else. So
Right.
if we can get them some information about the industry, sort of what's happening, who's doing it, when is it happening, really get some information to them. So is this a free thing? Is this a pay thing? If they want it, they don't get it, how do they get it? How do we reach Shale Valley?
Honestly, you can sign up for a subscription on shalevalley.com. This is a service that we provide free to the landowners. So
Okay.
the landowners don't have to pay.
Okay.
And so we send this to them every month.
Oh, wow.
And we pay for that through advertising and partnering with people that want to communicate with the landowners and the people that obviously have just made a lot of money in our region.
Sure.
So, and really the content of the magazine covers a lot of how they can become advocates in the community and help Shale put their best foot forward. So, having them understand what's going to happen on their property and how their money can be best used and how they can be a part of the community, and getting them thinking that way helps them from getting surprised
Correct.
when all of this happens.
Yeah.
One story, one of a person that I know, they actually got a rather large bonus check. They sold about 50 acres, and I was the first person to know that she'd done it because they kept it a secret because they didn't want anyone that they knew to know that they'd done that. And I ran into them and realized that they were on our data. And I was like, "Oh, it's great to see it. Congratulations, this is awesome." And she's like, "Well, we haven't really told anyone." And I was all like, "Well, you're now one of the biggest leaders in this area. You can be someone that really makes an impact." And having that discussion with them was really interesting because they had already started to try and isolate themselves instead of becoming a part of the community.
They really need to. They really need to promote about the decisions that they made as an individual or as a family or as a farm or as a business.
Right.
Hey, we know this is what was best for us and for our family and our community, and to talk about those stories because they are the ones that are the front lines of this. This is happening on or around or near their land. And say, hey, we know it's safe. We trust these companies. It's a fair agreement. The company can do what they need to do. We're going to get out of this what we need. They can talk about that and they can promote that. And they can really say, hey, media or hey, anti-development or whatever that message is out there. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what's happening with us and with our family. And to give them an outlet to do that, that's really a pretty special thing here in the Valley.
Yeah, it's really about, we as an area, we've had a lot of struggles over the last 40 years. We had the total collapse of the steel industry, and now we have V&M Star coming back, and we have other industries coming into this area, and it's really, the question isn't can we get rid of shale, it's how we can make shale work for the valley, how we can work together to make shale work for the state. And the landowners are a huge component of that, because they've gotten a significant amount of money. They're the ones taking the risks with their land, and they have to work closely with these companies, and if they're willing to trust their land, then that's usually a good indicator.
It really is. And the other thing too, a message or a lesson that the valley can learn is how to make this sustainable. Steel for a long time, everything else that was happening here. Now if we can figure out a way to get all the players on board, and we talk about this all the time, is to that the business community, labor community, landowner community, government, education. All right, let's learn from our past. Let's not run these guys out of town. Let's make sure that we can have this and have this for 50 or 100 years,
right,
and then be able to turn this into something else, because it's a feedstock for the chemical industry and a lot of other things. So let's do it right. Let's do it slowly and cautiously, and let's make sure that the people that have the most to gain, our landowners, are on board, and they're the ones who can convey that message. Yeah. This is a great tool for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we completely agree. I mean, as we're moving forward, like one of the mistakes that we made with steel is everyone in the 1960s thought steel was going to be here forever. Yeah. And that was it, and that was what the valley was. Everyone called us, one of the reasons we called it Shale Valley is everyone called this the Steel Valley.
Correct.
We were all about steel. Black Monday happened, and almost a third of the entire workforce in the valley was laid off in one day, well, over a week. And this gives us a real opportunity to learn from that past, work with shale, and then diversify our economy with the money that's being infused here. You've got all these other industries. We can build up there's natural gas vehicles, there's all these other areas that you can build up around this industry. So when shale does run out, obviously it's not a renewable resource. Sure. We can actually have an economy that's sustainable, and we don't go through these ups and downs, and we're not relying on single industries. This is a huge opportunity for us.
Employ a lot of folks here,
exactly.
Not only directly but indirectly, all throughout this community. So, well, this is a great product and a great service. And talk to me a little bit about today and maybe 5 years or so down the road. I mean, where do you guys want to take this? Where do you think the goal is here?
Well, I guess where we really want to lead off is we want to start building this into an actual community of people that are interested. And there's separate organizations that represent everyone from not really landowners, royalty owners. There's people for royalties, there's people for the industry, and then we have the politicians for the community. But there aren't really many avenues for all of them to tie together. And one of the things we really want to see Shale Valley become is a way for people to all communicate together, as it's a single banner where we're all on the same team here. We may have a lot of things that we disagree about part 1 or part 2 or part 3, but the main goal here is to make Ohio successful and our economy really take off. And having a single rallying banner for that, I think, is really important, and hopefully that's what we want this brand to become.
It sounds like a great goal, because we've got more we agree on than anything else.
Exactly.
And it's really moving the ball down the field together. So. Well, Wiley, thank you for the time today. Thank you for what you're doing to Shale Valley, and I think you've got an interesting thing here that's going to really help folks understand the opportunity here and how to make this sustainable.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
You got it. Thank you. And for more information, visit us at eidohio.org.